Well, I don't think there's really any such thing as a gay community, because in the Bible it says in Romans 1 why people fall into perversions, and like, you should all just thank a straight person that we're all here today on the earth.
This is not about rights. This is people telling me I have to be okay with who you are.
A lot of attention that is unwarranted. I mean, they're 1% of the population.
You know, and look at the people that want to oppress this LGBTQ or whatever the heck it is, all these transgenders and gays, and you know, I don't believe in all that crap. That's just, you know.
The transgender stuff on our children, the surgeries, you're a cis male now and I'm a cis woman, and we have to accept that label, or we're, what's the phobia word? Transphobic or whatever, and they turn it into this hate thing where most of us would be like, you do you, leave us alone, but they're really affecting this culture and the society, and we don't want America as that.
Do you think President Biden is doing that?
There's something going on with the push now.
Yeah, just to be clear, you do you, I do me is an inconsistent position to hold when state legislatures around the country are talking about little else than what rights they can now strip away, especially from trans people, but in general from the LGBTQ community. When the Supreme Court is finding in the Constitution a right to discriminate based on sexuality, you don't get to say you do you and I'll do me. You want to do you, and then you want people in power to strip away rights from the people that you fear or hate or misunderstand or whatever. There was a lot of different types of ignorance in that. And we have to understand that these people are representative of something, not necessarily humans or Americans or even conservatives. They went to a Trump rally, that makes them a special bunch, but you, Gary, are a person who you center being reasonable, being loving and all that. I will say that it is sometimes difficult when you see the hostility and hatred and ignorance and bigotry to maintain a civil demeanor with some of these people.
You know, some of these people are my neighbors. I live in South Louisiana, so I'm keenly aware of the disposition of a lot of these folks. The reality is, gay people have always been among us. They're gonna always be among us. There's always been bigots among us. The question is, are we gonna let the bigots lead us in this time? Are we gonna allow the narratives of the people who would rather take us back in many ways to the 1960s to be the people that have the prevailing voice? We know that this voice that we continue to listen to is growing and building a mob, but I believe that there are enough people who understand that people have a right to love who they love and live the lives that they choose in this country. And until we ensure that everybody's rights are protected, no one's rights are protected. There are real constitutional things that are happening. And what I would just encourage everybody is everything you see happening in the court today. Clarence Thomas is in his 70s, Sam Alito is in his 70s. Joe Biden, if he is reelected as the president of the United States, has a real opportunity and a chance to probably appoint somebody else to the court, which would give us the ability to bring some balance back to this, hopefully, or swing this court in a liberal majority. And so when I think about these types of things, I am thinking about the long term and not getting caught up on the ignorance that I hear in these bite-sized chunks, because these people are ignorant and that ignorance is going to perpetuate itself. The only way out is for us to do our jobs. I almost cussed.
Yeah. I appreciate your restraint there. And I know intellectually that you're right. I know that you're right. I maintain hope for at least some small change of the Supreme Court in the next 4 years. And you're right. We should not focus too much on these people, but we have to, in our own way, proactively counteract them with empathy, with understanding, with a willingness to look at our beliefs and see where they might be flawed, where we might have ignorance that was baked into us by how we were raised, where we were raised, when we were raised, and be willing to challenge those things, to be interested and curious, to learn about other people who have different sorts of experiences than you do, to not be scared away from that. Ignorance, like willful ignorance, is not strength. It shouldn't need to be pointed out, but for many people it must be. Empathy and a willingness to grow and develop and evolve is a good thing. The stakes couldn't be any more high. We're continually reminded of that. And so whatever ignorance and hatred and fear that they're spreading, we need to counteract it with understanding, empathy, curiosity, love, and support. I went into great detail yesterday on the show about my thoughts about that. We're reminded every day of why it's so needed.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.